Welcome back to Power Over Pain. In this third episode of the gripping multi-part series, we explore Tom Althouse's real-life thriller and the complex entangled web of actions that Hollywood execs, a religious organization, and intel-agencies have put into motion to conspire against him and make his life a living hell. Interviewing this man has never been easy, as we often receive technical difficulties that inexplicably seem to come out of nowhere to try to dissuade us from our journey to cover, expose, and bring light to these very important facts. They cut us off. Plane flying over. Wow. Seems like it was CIA planes, which Sean will show us again during this interview because I wasn't able to broadcast the last one. So there are CIA planes that flew over him and almost nosedived directly towards him a week or two ago. And while we were trying to do the interview, we had lots of electronic harassment, and eventually they just cut off our call altogether. That you are now receiving some much needed help from some of the good people inside the US intel agencies, as they have recently broken into your house while you were out one day, this time for a worthy cause, namely to return to you the working drafts that were stolen by Tony Rankins, your planted attorney, from the court case that was set up to be purposely thrown from the get-go. Is that right?
That is completely correct. And so I'm reaching for right now is the original drafts that were restored by the agencies to my own home, and you'll see on there the date of this original draft. It's right there. So this one is from, let's see, right there. So this one's from 1993, the first draft ever of the Matrix story, and from March '93. So what's really wild about this is this March '93 is right before it's submitted to Warner Brothers through James Boyd of Norfolk, the submitting attorney, and that was done in June '93. Now it's so important you mentioned that Rankin, that attorney that was supplied to throw our case, who was suspended license, defense attorney, classmates attorney. He ripped open and took out the original full screenplay draft, which also was restored to us. And I want to show you that also. Just want to stay for a moment, because that piece, that group, or is right here. So here is full screenplay. Let me pull it out. This is the full screenplay right here, restored to our home, all 128 pages. That was in the poor man's patent that Rankin ripped open and took out at a dinner at my house in 2012, restored this year. But this is restored by the agencies. And not only that, this was restored in the same pile was this piece, original draft, which has the heading on, signed Patricia Fike of California. Well, I never saw after 1995. So she notated the whole thing through. So what Rankin did was took this script, stole it, took the cover page of this, you'll see cover pages on it, he ripped that off and stuffed that down with the poor man's patent, which he had taken the full script that's been restored here out, down into my son's art box.
We're getting a very, very choppy image from you today, unfortunately.
Okay.
I did get some good images from last time that you shared that with me. So during the editing process, I will add in the images that we got last time instead of today's images, because we just couldn't see it. It was all unfocused. 2 days before Easter, you were out of the house.
This year. Yeah, this year. I was shopping for Easter.
You were shopping for Easter. The house was vacant. And when you come back, you have those working drafts sitting on your bed.
Yep, look at the date on this one. 1995.
Right.
Now, what's interesting is, see the cover page is missing? Look at this. I want to show you this. This is very important. This one has the cover page. See the Tom Mortals? Okay. The reason you're missing the cover page from this one right here is because Tony Rankin at a dinner at my house ripped the cover page off and left it and stuffed it down my child's art box, along with my poor man's patent that he ripped open and took the script out of that, which is now returned, and took this away because this was proof that in 1995, Trisha Fike in California read the whole thing, and it was pre-96. So this shows up again. Tony Rankin had stolen this. Very interesting that it's chopped today, isn't it? Because this is something the FBI does not want being shown. The FBI and the studios do not want this work being shown that was restored by the CIA. Isn't that something? So yeah, you've got these. This is proof. What I was going to say is that Tony Rankin, when he ripped open that poor man's patent and stuffed the cover sheet down my son's art box, along with the poor man patent resealed without the script down in the box, in my son's art box, destroying his artwork, he made a move because that stuff James Boyd submitted was a full script, was a script, and everything he includes in his submission, he is testifying to, and gave a letter of affidavit showing it and all the material showing it was in the file. Rankin said he didn't have anything, lied, and said he called him and said he has nothing, so you have no case. Well, he had everything. And he said, don't call him. I did call him. He had everything. So it's another lie on top of lie that Rankin was doing for his classmates. But when he claimed that the poor man's patent at my deposition was yelling and screaming at me to say, you know, this is what was in there, just this 8 pages of scribbled notes, he forgot that James Boyd preceded the patent. So the materials that James Boyd had, the full script, even though he tried to keep me from contacting him, proves that the poor man's patent had a script in it also. Also, the materials that are restored show that there was a working draft that was now restored. Draft 1 is that date. Draft 1 is March 21st, 1993, and that precedes the poor man's patent, which was sent out after June 93.
What is the poor man's patent?
The poor man's patent is when you mail yourself a copy of the script, post-date it, and leave it through the mail. So it's postmark showing that date that was enclosed at that date for later to be opened in court to show on this date, here's what was mailed to myself. It's a poor man's patent. You mail the work to yourself, so it's a postmark from the post office. And it shows that on that date, that was sealed. See? So that's why Rankin ripped it open when he's at my house. When he told us to leave the room, and he got that call on a Saturday with the Warner Brothers attorneys. So he had ripped it open badly and resealed it badly without the script in it. It still had the creases of the folds from having years and years of that script in there, the full script. And so 8 pages of scribbled notes, Rankin. So what happens is that was his way to say there was no real script ever in 93. Well, it was all there. So now that we have the poor man's patent where we can show that it was preceded by this draft of the screenplay, preceded by the submission of the full screenplay or the screenplay to Warner Brothers per the submitting attorney, James Boyd, a month or so before, means that there's no way there was 8 pages of scribbled notes in that poor man's patent a couple months later. It says script enclosed. So that's a bad move by Warner Brothers and Tony Rankin to rip open the poor man's patent, stuff it down my child's art box, and one more thing. When he took out the script, he also took out the notarized statement that was in there because he had, he took out the first page of the story treatment because the notarized statement he ripped out had the first page of the story treatment on the back of it. Now, this is important because that means more proof. Why would the first page of the story treatment be missing in the poor man's patent, right? Because he took out the notarized statement. And at the depositions, just finish with this part, at the depositions, when they were trying to snow this, reveal the poor man's patent, Rankin actually said, let's get it out of his hands before he has a chance to go through it. And Linda, the attorney for Warner Brothers, why don't you go ahead and copy it off by yourself without Tom? So go ahead and copy it off before he has a chance to go through it, and we put it on record. Why? Because they want to reinsert that notarized statement that the first page of story treatment is on the back of the notarized statement. So it's like, it's a lot I'm saying, but it was so badly done by Rankin, at my deposition, including him taping the whole thing illegally and giving me the wrong tape recorder back. So we have all the proof that he tampered with the poor man's patent. He was doing it for Warner Brothers. They were working together. In fact, at the end of the deposition, you hear the attorney for Warner Brothers say, Mr. Rankin, saying to me, we're out of time for this deposition. It's been 7.5 hours. We're out of time, but I got to get something important from the office. Mr. Rankin, feel free to stretch your legs with me. And they leave together. He comes back in first with the poor man patent reinserted. I'm sorry, the notarized statement reinserted into the packet. And so it's like, and arguing with me, this is what you have to have. Burroughs, or this is what was there. Burroughs comes in afterwards, says, I understand you want to change your statement. Never talked about what was so important to get from our office. So you got to understand, there's so much to this where they goofed up so many times. If we get fair due process, where they tamper with the patent, the poor man's patent, they made a monkey business out of it at the deposition, where even pagers were going off at the same time, his and Linda Burroughs, the attorney for Warner Brothers, both pagers going off to alert them that they found it in their offices. They found what Rankin had taken out of the packet. It's amazing. So another time I can maybe more clearly explain this, but back to what you highlighted, the fact that these things are restored really destroys Warner Brothers now. In the future, it'll destroy them, because now we have the proof that there was a full script before the poor man patent was sent, that there was a full script that James Boyd submitted before the poor man patent even existed. So, and on the poor man patent, it says script enclosed. So we've got them cheating, lying, and tampering with evidence, conspiracy, everything, over and over. If it makes any sense.
And when they're doing this theater in court, by this time they're just taking out your sons, so to rattle you.
Right, you're right. They took out my first son. They took him out right before Rankin came into my existence in my field of vision. They took him out in 2009, and that's when I was approached, 2009, 2010 or so. And so they're doing it before the case is launched. And then as soon as the case is thrown, they take out my second son, Sean. He's killed. So it's before, so I'm rattled going into it and more compliant. And then they killed my second son after it's thrown, like after they killed George Michael on 2016 when the case is fully thrown. They killed George Michael on Christmas in 2016, say his heart gave out. And then they kill my son after that. And that's to make sure I'm rattled afterwards, so I never can follow back or come back. So rattle before, rattle after, kill both sons.
Yeah. Maybe in an attempt to make you suicidal.
That was the whole plan Robertson had come up with. You're absolutely right. That's why they tried to say parent is schizophrenic, narcissistic, danger, crazy with a gun. They're trying to set the scene for that exactly, because the strategy Disney came up with. Mike Lang at Disney with Harvey Weinstein and under Michael Eisner of Disney came up with a strategy in '93 when all this was submitted to have authors die first before they make their claim, and bring in the family members on board so that when the author's dead, they can go to the court venue of their choice, Hollywood courts, and just say it's theirs. It was theirs all along. No one contests. They got the intellectual property. That was the strategy Mike Lang came up with when they formed Miramax Films to be the library for Disney films they didn't own, Disney screenplays, that they kept in a New Jersey warehouse. That's in the Vanity Fair article. So that's what's so amazing is the strategy they come up with is, like you said, fake the suicide or have the person take themselves out from being so distraught, and you got their work you do with what you want. And that's what they did with Philip K. Dick. They took Philip K. Dick's work and did whatever they wanted with it, even though Philip K. Dick said he didn't want his work altered. And that's where you get into Minority Report and all these other ones, Man in the High Castle. They switched it all around because he's been dead. So they want, even though he said he didn't want it changed.
And when you
It's
didn't
amazing how far they've
fold,
gone.
when you didn't fold, they basically got some um, FBI and police agency bad fraud actors coming in and trying to take you out. Is that right?
That's right, to put me away for life. The strategy was either have me killed on the highway, or like they did to my son Sean, or and there was hit and run attempts on the highway, or kill me when I'm on the bicycle with a car coming up behind and running me off. They tried that one. That was with Joel Silver's group when he was in Canada, when they were doing the filming in Canada. When I was in Canada with my son, or have you put away for life under being 302 or Baker's Act, where you're considered crazy and dangerous because your son has died. You must be going to kill somebody, and then saying
So
that I'm going to kill my other son.
there
Yeah.
were there were
So that's the
five
way they
there
do
were
it.
five 302 attempts so far.
At least 5. Yes. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but
In Canada, there was in
before
California, there
before
was
we get
in
to Canada, they tried to run you off the road using that was in Pennsylvania, right?
there's different places it was done. One of the most best attempts of running me off the highway was in New Jersey on my way to the Forge Theater. I was in Pennsylvania, caretaking my parents, and I would drive to Manhattan, basically Forge Theater, New York. And so on my way there, um, they had a car get in front of me, and it started to wave me over, right? We're in the passing lane, and it started slowing down to wave me over, right? As it slows down in the passing lane. And if I had gone over, there was a truck parked on the bridge. I would have hit a pickup truck dead on. So it was waiting to wave me on, blocking my vision, wave me on. If I had moved over like it wanted, when it said, okay, go ahead, I'd been dead. So that was the best attempt they had, because they knew I was going that route, because my brother and sister, who were bought off by Disney, were at the house prior to me leaving, wanting to know when I'd be leaving for the New York theater. They wanted to make sure. And my brother, who has always been terrible to me, he's a pedophile and works with the Disney group, he gave me this huge hug before I left. It was a Judas hug. It was like, after finding out when I'm leaving, I'm going to leave now, he gave me that long hug. He never hugged me in my life. It was like a goodbye hug, like right out of the movies. And that's after that, the attempt had happened. Yeah.
Yeah, so you must have thought that was pretty strange, and then in hindsight, you knew why he was doing that, and that
I
was
knew exactly what it was.
involving this Yellow Brick Road police captain. Was he in the car?
Yes, yes. No, so what you had was Deal, the police captain of Warrington Township. So he's the one that's under the best friends with the FBI operative from that
Brian
jurisdiction. Ryan
Fitzpatrick.
Fitzpatrick. Right, right. The congressman, lifelong FBI guy. So he was using him, tapping this police chief to be the one that would make sure I would be put away. And he kept doing it and kept doing it, never stopped. So you're absolutely right. That was the guy who
And
was,
and then
yeah.
you basically found a photo of him with the Yellow Brick Road signage behind him. Do you think there's
Yes.
symbolism connection to that?
Without a doubt, Jose, without a doubt, because the FBI at Quantico in Virginia, the Marine base, they have their FBI Academy there, and they have the Yellow Brick Road program or whatever, where they select chief of police from around the country who will do the FBI's bidding, right? And all you need is a high school equivalency, and you're brought in, selected. You have to be selected, come in for like a week program to be stooges for the FBI, so they can go after targets in their jurisdiction. And so they'll agree to do it. So they get to have the flag behind them, the FBI Academy flag. They get the yellow brick they'll hang on their wall, like this police chief did in Warrington, and they are now part of the cabal infrastructure, where they're called upon to do when anything needs to be done, such as taking a shot at the president in Fitzpatrick's jurisdiction. So these chiefs of police will be helping them do assassination attempts That's what they do. Or put you away for life when you have no record and nothing's wrong with you. And that's what they do. And as a special reward, they get a brand new facility. Like these guys worked along with the Park Service. They had a little office with the Park Service. Then they get this full-on huge building, the most expensive building in Warrington Township after they did the thing on me. And it also had a special room for the FBI when they had come visiting, trying to take care of certain targets. So, and they got a SWAT team, helicopters, 2 helicopters, SWAT team in Warrington Podunk Township, where it's just shoplifters are the main thing. That's it, shoplifters. And it's like, you don't need a SWAT team there. But that's why that footage of the helicopters flying over my home, circling, is what they did. And another thing we found out about Warrington Township Police is that all they're doing now, from a contact in Pennsylvania, all they're doing now is looking at porn online. But they're giving the excuse that they're only going to go after people looking at porn now. So they can look at porn, claiming they're going to go after people looking at porn. They're looking at porn and calling it their job. Can you believe that? That's Warrington Township and the stooges and goofs that are there. Yeah.
And how did you find their connection to Senator Brian Fitzpatrick?
Congressman Brian Fitzpatrick, that was easy. My sister was bragging that he would be taking me down and that he was using the Secret Service and the police. And then we found out from a congressional candidate that was running against Fitzpatrick that she had heard specifically the chief of police in a gun shop where she was saying, yeah, Brian Fitzpatrick's my best friend. He's my dear friend. He would do anything for Brian Fitzpatrick. There you go. So yeah. So there's no accident that the shot was taken at the president in Pennsylvania, because the FBI operative, lifelong Brian Fitzpatrick, congressman on the Ways and Committees for oversight over the agencies, would make sure that he had a clear shot at the president, whoever it was. That's who was behind the assassination attempt, was Brian Fitzpatrick and the FBI.
And he's the one that turned your sister against you to begin with, right?
Yes, bought her off with huge rewards, trips to London, to the Caribbean, maid service, gave her rewards like being the president of school psychologists, top school psychologist. She's not even licensed. School counselor. So it's like at elementary school, she's not even licensed, yet she gets the top one. And she said to my mom, "Oh, I got it again." So she keeps getting the president, because Fitzpatrick's making it so, as long as she can do the deed, to bring us down. Now, what's interesting about Fitzpatrick is his brother and him, Mike, who died, they're the ones that were sent to Ukraine. So they're the ones that are sent by Biden and the FBI to Ukraine to stabilize Ukraine. And it's in their article, a cover article he wrote in our local paper, The Intelligencer in Philadelphia. So he's describing all about that and how they weren't going to give the money to Ukraine unless they got rid of the main guy who was protecting Ukraine as a sovereign nation, Viktor Shokum. And the excuse was that Viktor Shokum, equivalent to our attorney general, wasn't moving fast enough on the cases the FBI wanted done. What? And wasn't giving decisions that the FBI wanted. That's a sovereign nation, FBI. You don't belong on their soil. You don't belong on the soil of Ukraine.
No.
But Brian Fitzpatrick was specifically sent to destabilize it, and he did. And he also has where they brought back young ladies from Ukraine to be at the Gentlemen's Club in New Hope, Pennsylvania. So him and his brother, they have a Ukrainian flag out of a strip club, a dance club for young women of Ukraine are brought over to this club, and they hold the Ukrainian flag in front of it. So they didn't just take over for child trafficking in Ukraine. They also traffic young ladies in the sex porn industry.
And we know that the whole strategy behind that was to remove the Attorney General in Ukraine, who is investigating Hunter Biden's role in Burisma.
Right. And that's what in the article, which you can take a look at, the Intelligencer article, which was done to cover Fitzpatrick. He was so stupid to do it. He's quoted all through it. Even says that Trump was standing up for Viktor Shokum and how the agencies doesn't usually make political statements, but they were chastising Trump for saying that Viktor Shokum was a good man.
Mm-hmm.
And it was unfair what was being done to him. So the same thing happened to Viktor Shokum happened to me and my family.
Right. Yep.
Meanwhile, yeah. And meanwhile, he's whining and dining my sister and my brother.
Hmm.
Yeah,
And
he needs to
and
be off the Ways and Means Committee. Yeah.
and then your ex-wife, after this, your ex-wife decides to convince you to go to Canada.
Well, before it, yeah, before
Oh, before
one
that,
of the
that was
final attempts.
before.
Yeah. So yeah, the thing was when 2016, George Michael was about to be killed, right, on Christmas. The case is thrown. So Becca, the honeypot wife, who was, there by Lang at Disney, she and her landlord was Tony Rankin, the suspended licensed attorney. It's like, wow. And the lady who was the director for Lion King and Beauty and the Beast, one of the directors for Disney, was stayed at his house, Tony Rankin's house also, besides the honeypot. And that's where she approached me, was from Rankin's home before I met Rankin, before he's brought in to be my attorney. And so what's interesting is when the case is thrown, Becca has us do one last thing. We go to Modesto, California, and she won't tell us what the charges are. We found out through another attorney. Prostitution, all this stuff. She had outstanding warrants throughout our entire marriage. And so she's like, the judge is saying all charges are being dropped, all warrants are being dropped because she's done. The case is thrown. She threw it with Rankin. So then she takes us to Spokane, Washington, where Mike Lang just happened to buy the most expensive property there, historic property, and she sends us to Canada for our safety. But she doesn't follow. She said, I'll be following later. Meanwhile, Mike Lang sends her all sorts of emails on my birthday, and she moves in with Mike Lang so he can have sex with her for about, he says, 60 days. Move in for 60 days. That'll do the work. When I contacted an attorney for Disney and asked him, why did Mike Lang, the honeypot wife, and sleep with her? A woman said it's for his ego.
Hmm.
So it's incredible. So I did call Mike Lang of Disney, and he had Becca there. So you have this phone call that's recorded where Becca's in the background and he's there because we were calling to see where's the wife. She said this loving card. She said she's going to be there. She said that she's fearing for her life. She said the only way she would ever turn on us, she said, our phone's being tapped. Be careful. Then she says, after saying the phones were tapped, last call we really had together, she said, the only way I'd ever turn on you or not be with you and Aiden is if I was promised instant success in Spokane, Washington. So she sent this message over the phone saying the phones were tapped to Mike Lang. Here's what will make me go. And he offered it. And email after email on my birthday, July 2nd, on my birthday, all these emails from Mike Lang at Zion, even promising her a resort at Mount Zion National Park, where she said it was her favorite park. So it's like unbelievable what we have. Now, these materials were erased from our computer when we were in Canada. And we had an expert tech come in and said it's coming from Spokane, Washington. So it was, and they said they're active right now. We can't even change your passwords. They're changing it back every time we change it. Mike Lang and his team was operating from Spokane, Washington, when we were trying to, when he erased all our evidence and wouldn't allow us to change our passwords and things like this. And so fortunately, Aiden remembered, we already had them on external storage drive. And then we have them now. So we have the Mike Lang email saying, Becca, move in with me for 60 days. We have the Mike Lang thread and all the email lists. It's just like flooded with emails to Becca. Going to take her in a town car, meet other people, make her life successful for having done what she did for Disney.
So she suggested that you go to Canada, but she didn't go
Yeah.
with you?
She said she was staying behind to get more things in order and she'd be joining us. But that was part of the plan. So they sent us to Canada, so we have no way to follow up on any appeal in the courts in the U.S. Also, they'd be able to get her to divorce me, where I wouldn't be able to do anything because I'm in Canada, and they'd be able to railroad whatever they wanted through the courts.
And
And
this
she didn't want Aiden,
couple,
though. She didn't want Aiden.
but this couple that she set up to receive you in Canada,
Yeah, Lauren and Derek. Yeah,
they were
yeah, they
connected
were.
to Trudeau.
They were her friends, and they were the ones that were with Trudeau. Yes, they're the only ones in the neighborhood that Trudeau signed out. Big Trudeau fans. So that was part of the ploy, was send us there. And he was terrible to Aiden, abusive. and we had nowhere to go. We slept on a basement in the floor. We lost everything with Becca sending her there. She said, leave everything with us. It'll be fine with me. Had the money transferred to a special bank account so that she said, this will keep it safe from Warner Brothers trying to grab it up since you're lost. And she never gave us the money back from that account, about $40,000. And then what she did was she drained our accounts. When she got with Mike Lang, she drained our bank accounts out. So it was a zero balance. And shut off Aiden's phone and his computer system, the payment.
What were you there for?
What's that? How long were we there for? About a year.
A year.
We had nowhere to go. Nowhere to go.
Yeah, because you were basically out of resources.
Stranded. Yeah. Right? In a place where her friends had control. They had a guest bedroom, but they wouldn't let us have it. We had to sleep on the basement, on the floor, and it's the one room they didn't take the asbestos out of the ceiling. It would fall from the ceiling on us. We slept on a cement floor with no mattress. They didn't even have us a mattress, even though they had a guest room. They didn't have it. So we're sleeping on a cement floor in the winter in Canada, imagine, with just blankets.
How can a mother do that to a child?
Well, she said he's not her blood. Phone, she said to him, he overheard her saying to me that she had always said that she had been pure, never slept with anybody. Then she confided, Aiden heard, here's what happened. She's on the phone, and I was like, but you said you never slept with anybody. She goes, I just had connections. What do you mean by connections? I had connections. You mean she said sex connections. So I said, well, how many connections did you have during marriage? She goes, does it matter? So Aiden speaks up and goes, Mom, what did you do? Something like that. She goes, if you can't accept that I slept with other men, Aiden, then we're up. And he cut him off. Yeah. Real sweet mom, Becca Northcutt, who changed her name when they're throwing the court. She got the most expensive attorney in Spokane, Washington, was claiming she had no money, but she had tons of money. She's getting $400 an hour as whatever, retro thinking therapist. And so, so we had nothing left. She took everything. She drained her bank accounts, and she has this most expensive attorney, and she changed her name to Becca B. Lynn. Now, the reason she changed her name to Becca B. Lynn, if you look up Becca B. Lynn, it's a soft porn star. It's a model that displays herself for men. And so that's what she changed her name to. So it's like a double. You double up. So that if you ever served her, it could be misconstrued as going to somebody else. What's interesting, too, is Pat Robertson in Virginia Beach. When Becca turned, get this part, a big thank you from Pat Robertson. They opened a restaurant called My Becca in Virginia Beach. Thank you to Becca, because Becca's business email was My Becca at 808, whatever. So it's like her business email was My Becca on her site for massage therapy and stuff like that. And so Robertson opened the restaurant, 5-star restaurant or something, My Becca. So Virginia Beach.
You lived in their heads full time, rent free, didn't you?
I had to be the library of all this information. They were destroying stuff right and left. You saw what Rankin did with the poor man's patent, right? You see what they did with all the records, like the working drafts now. So it's like, what I understand is the CIA, different agents, from what Michael Jaco said, are fans of the work. They still are fans of the work, and they're fans that somebody actually survived the gauntlet of everything that was thrown at them. So for them, it's like I'm superhuman. For them, it's like he survived everything that would break a man, and his friends are still with him that really count. So what he has is great friends like you, and he survived everything, and he's caving. He's getting better. He's getting stronger. He's showing his proof all over the line. Disney's comment on that phone call with the Disney attorney, she said, "You've won the chess game because you put information out there and you didn't stop." The attempt by Fitzpatrick was done right before all my interviews started, and they were scheduled to go. So I was to be put away just before they got on the air. See, that was the strategy. But he failed. He failed. The doctor at the end, the one doctor at the end, was called in by Secret Service. They came, but she came in and saw my evidence, and she left the room for a second, and she said, "Okay, get out of here. Just go. Just go. Just go." My mom and I left. Before that, she said that she entered
In
the room saying,
Canada,
"You're not getting it."
in
No, this
Canada,
is back in Doylestown. So what I'm doing after Canada, Fitzpatrick did a hit on
because
me
one
in
came in,
Pennsylvania.
one nurse came in to save you in Canada as well, didn't she?
That's I didn't even think of that. You're absolutely right. Her name is Caroline, and she was with the family services. She came in. Yes, she came in to save me in Canada with this Dr. Briskin and this nurse lady they brought in who wasn't even a nurse, an agent, to make sure I'd be put away for life. And she saved the day. She did. So you're right. And then down in Pennsylvania, after I got out of Canada, when they weren't going to let me go, this doctor saved me there, saved me at the last second when she was told to put me away for life. And to come in the room with a ream, she said, a ream of allegations. She said, I can tell you one thing, you're never getting out of here. They were trying to find a bed. They put me away for life. So that's by the hair breadth every time getting away. And my sister going, she's never going to stop, tearing up the diagnoses that are in my favor and contacting therapists that are in my favor, where I was trying to get protection and have people verify that I'm a good guy and clean. She would tear those up. So the other side's very afraid of the PTSD thing. See, they've blocked this in every which way they can going on record, because with PTSD, there's no statute of limitations. No statute of limitations. We can argue our case tomorrow. Because of PTSD, it's understood that you can't argue your case unless you have representation. And if you're being denied representation, there's no way you can do it yourself, so no statutes. They don't want that known. And given the fact that we actually won the case through default, and they blocked us filing it, there's all kinds of things in our favor now to see this through. So the agencies now, the CIA at least, or at least departments, are helping us, protecting us.
They even got to your cousin Todd as well.
Cousin Todd, when my son, bless his heart, Aiden had said at a young age, he said, Todd will help us. Todd will protect us. He'll help us. No, Todd wouldn't. In fact, there's indications he had sex with my sister. He was romantically attracted. My sister was a harlot. My brother too. It's like House of Usher. I'm not making this up. So she uses her sex ways to get the brothers to do what she wants and to get Todd and cousins to do what she wants. And she did it on me. She tried. Where she'll hug you and stuff like this. And she'll go, don't let go, don't let go. And press against you and rub against you and say, don't you think I'm beautiful? That's Julia Zarco. That's the messed up psychiatrist who works with.
Oh, we lost you now. We lost you. We lost your mic. We've been attacked very at a high level this time because camera and your sound just getting distorted. But now
Yeah,
we
they don't want
got
me.
you all together.
Can you hear me now? I took the
Yeah,
mic out. Can you hear me?
I got you
So
back.
so I took the mic off. They cut that off, so I took it off. They do not want me talking about my sister and Fitzpatrick together. They don't want me talking about her, because what's happening is she bragged at a party. Get this, she bragged at a party and told the whole family at a Christmas that her ex-husband had nothing to worry about because Brian Fitzpatrick is gay. So you have this guy who's gay. And when that got out, so he's part of Pat Robertson's sex ring, believe it or not. And big Pat Robertson fan. And get this. So he staged a fake marriage thing where he announced he's getting engaged to some dignitary overseas, and they're getting married in the field. He's making a big production out of it now to cover the fact that he's gay.
Yeah.
So you have a gay FBI operative who's lifelong as a U.S. congressman who was sent over by the FBI to destroy Ukraine, to make it a vehicle for child trafficking, also sex rings, and also biological experiments, and also to tweak Putin's nose that you could have like a Cuban Missile Crisis right in Putin's backyard and launch the end war. And you have Fitzpatrick still talking about, and I'm not making this up, still talking about how we've got to crush Russia because Russia's going to, if they don't stop with Ukraine, they're going to go all over the world. No, he's not. He's just trying to protect his people. We're the villains.
Pat Robertson's organization, because Pat Robertson is dead. That's what you meant, right?
Pat Robertson is dead, right? Pat Robertson's organization is working with Fitzpatrick, yes. So that they're still doing it. It's a dynasty. But what you got is Ukraine is supposed to bring on the endless war. The endless war that Pat Robertson came up with the idea of having, which he did through proxy through Bush. Before the war was launched, Bush met with Robertson behind closed doors. And then he launched it afterwards. It was Robertson's plan to have an endless war to suspend the rights of the population so he can make a one world theocracy that he'd be the head of it.
Huh.
Right? It's incredible. That's why the screenplay whispers through art all these things. That's why they're going to tell you it's not the Matrix story. Oh, yes, it is. It has everything in it they lifted with the visual storyboard. Everything's in here, including the same ending. The Wachowski said we're keeping the same ending. Same ending of what? When everybody else said to blow it up. They would not be arguing about how to end the screenplay if there was actual screenplay that they wrote on set that was vetted and prepared and launched and greenlighted by the suits at Warner Brothers. Instead, they had this. They had this screenplay with a visual storyboard. They lifted all the visuals off and said we can make it up as we go along. That's why you had the argument at the end. It didn't tie together. It was ripped apart. So at the end, that's why you have an argument saying, let's just blow up the Matrix. And they're saying, no, we're going to keep the same ending. The same ending, indeed, they did keep. Identical figures facing off. Into the crater goes the one, little girl renewed to life, pointing at the sun. They kept the same ending. So that's what's so amazing about it. They should have blown it up. There's a lot here, but it's all impactful. And it all ties back to the FBI working with Disney and Warner Brothers and Paramount to rip this work off. And what Joel Silver said on set, we hope we used up the rest of the story. We hope we used up the rest of the story. Yeah.
But having said that, he hoped they did, but they didn't.
Right.
And then they ended up using it in other blockbusters like Elysium,
like
Oblivion,
Inception, Interstellar.
Yeah.
Interstellar. The best scene was used up in Interstellar, and it pisses me off because Christopher Nolan, he was told by his professors in film school that he'd never make it. He has no talent. Yet Disney at Universal Studios picks him up and gives him in charge of the Star Trek series, which was really a slap in the face of Star Trek fans. So Christopher Nolan, who can't really do anything, starts lifting the work, just starts lifting it right and left. And he has the whole thing with the little girl ages and the main character doesn't. And used my scene in that, the scene that Wachowskis didn't use, and I said was the best scene. I told them at the depositions it was the best scene. They didn't use it. So they give it to Christopher Nolan through Universal Studios, where my work also went, to do Interstellar and put it in there. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. That hit me more than anything else. So you're right. They used it in many different things. In fact, the actors like Matt Damon and others were not shown a script. They were shown visual storyboards. Visual storyboards.
Right.
The reason Will Smith didn't take the role is he wasn't shown a script.
Oh, yeah? It was supposed to be given to Will Smith?
Will Smith was the first pick by the Wachowskis to play Neo.
Oh, right.
Besides the Scottish actor who was in James Bond.
Sean Connery.
Yes, he was also being picked.
That would have been your pick as well.
I wouldn't mind Sean Connery doing it. When I pitched it to Bonaventura, Lorenzo D. Bonaventura still claims he shepherded and discovered the story on Wikipedia. Anybody can look it up. He said that Robert De Niro was in town doing Analyze This at the time. And he thought, he said to me, what do you think about Robert De Niro playing the lead? When they're talking about casting it, they want it. And I said, well, I don't mind. I had someone else in mind. But so Robert De Niro is what the original Bonaventura, who claims he shepherded, wanted. So if Bonaventura had gotten his way, and Joel Silver had not bought it from him and claimed with spec money of his, Robert De Niro would have been Neo. Now they're breaking you up. I can't hear a word. Now they're breaking you up. I'm hearing, so we hit a nerve. We hit a nerve. I'll tell you, we're doing good. I
made a big mistake yesterday when I uploaded the second episode. I shared it on Twitter, and
that goes right to Elon. Yeah.
My computer was attacked right away. I turned it off and removed the battery and the power supply. But I think they may have been able to get into our connection for this third episode because of that mistake.
Right. But I think it enhances and lets people know this is what's going on. You can pay attention to when they interrupt the most, means they're most concerned about that content, like Julia Zarco and Brian Fitzpatrick being tied together, because you got a huge lawsuit coming to the FBI soon, or in the future here. The FBI will be sued by me and my team. The FBI will be sued, and so will Brian Fitzpatrick, and so will those that were involved.
Oh, that'll
So
be
they
an
know
epic
that. They
day.
know that.
I can't wait.
Yeah, we got all the proof. I mean, we can't miss with what we got, including the false report put on me that I was incarcerated, put away at Lenape Valley Crisis Center. I wasn't, and the Lenape Valley Crisis Centers records are all missing. Yeah, they say that never happens, and that the FBI has a record on me from Lenape Valley Crisis Center. I was never committed, so they are sore losers. Ryan Fitzpatrick didn't have me shut away, didn't get to because the doctor let me out. So get this. So they're going to put on a file that they did anyway. And they had the doctor just disappear that released me. So they destroyed the records, yet I got the records. So I have the records, thank God, again, by the hair of teeth. It's like I've got the records that show everything they tried to do and why, that they tried to erase. So I'm not allowed to have any self-defense in Texas or anywhere in the world because the FBI claims I was shut away at Lenape Valley Crisis. There's no record of it. I wasn't. I was released. And I got the records that show I was released. But they're not going to change it. They're going to keep it on record as
And
if
the
they never.
reason you were admitted was because they're playing this silly game to begin with.
Yeah, there's no
You
reason to
never did
commit me at
anything
all.
wrong. You never did anything
No,
wrong.
they had my sister. It's a good point. They had my sister go to different people going, he's going to kill me. He's going to kill me. He's going to kill me. And it's like, what? No, no, not at all. I wouldn't kill anybody. And so she does this thing where she holds up her phone to my mom, right? Let's get this. After we got free, she tries again. She says it's never going to stop. She's going to keep trying. So her job is to say, I'm going to kill her. I'm not going to kill her. That'd be a waste of a bullet. Anyway, so what happens is, so she holds this phone up to my mom with a clip from interview. I did hundreds of interviews. Now, she didn't find this. It was found for her by the FBI. You can tell because out of all the clips, they looked for anything they could do. Very thorough search. And the best thing that could come out of all the hundreds of interviews I've done was me on a program saying, I'm really looking forward for my son and I for the horror to end. And I said, for the horror to end, we can get on with our lives. So she's holding up that clip, saying, look, watch again. I'm really looking forward to the horror to end, get on with our lives. He's going to kill me. He says he's going to shoot me. I'm like, where on there does it say he's going to shoot you? It says he's looking for the horror to end and get on with his lives. That's like a child in elementary school doing a book report or saying to the teacher for the class, I'm looking forward to a bright future. And Julia busts in the elementary school going, he's going to kill me. The child's going to kill me. He's going to kill me. He says he's looking for a bright future. It makes no freaking sense. So I talked to, she said, I'm going to put him away. She held that up saying, I'm going to put him away. I'm going to call the FBI and police to put him away. I'm going to put him away for this. They kept replaying it, screaming manically like she's bipolar. So I told Texas police, I called them out and I said, look, my sister's going to try to do it again. They're like, you need to report her with a warrant for a psych evaluation. She's crazy. So they said down here, my sister is nuts, right? They said, she's insane. You didn't say her name. You didn't do anything. She's the one that's got a problem. You need to put a warrant out on her. So my sister has done a lot of bad things, including violating ethics with an attorney, major attorney in Pennsylvania. His son was at the school she was at, an elementary school student, and she disclosed publicly what the son shared about the family. Why? Wrong person, Julia Zarco. So now they became all over the news. You can look it up. Julia Zarco, she was cited with all this stuff, but FBI went to bat for her and didn't let any prosecution occur.
Right.
See?
Yep.
Yeah. Now she's at Abington, Pennsylvania, because my dad worked there and she could get in through connections there. So they protect her even when she does the worst and saying things wrong. Breaking the ethics over a child who's an elementary school student who happened to be the son of an attorney. You're an idiot, Julie. So yeah. So anyway, we moved all these a couple thousand miles away, and she's saying we're going to kill her, holding up a thing saying, look, he's going to kill me. He says he wants the hard end. I'll tell you what. It's just mind-boggling. So the insane ones are attacking the sane ones who are actually trying to make a difference in the world and be benevolent because they're paid to do it. So her job is to say, he's going to kill me. I would never kill anybody.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh yeah, they've got our whole world upside down right now because
Yeah.
they say the people on the right are fascists and Nazi supporters, and we when I say we, I do support right policies, right-leaning policies. But
Right.
the people that support the right do not go out onto the streets and uh, try to protest through violence. Only the left does that. Only the left has tried to assassinate President Trump. The left, this tranny guy, Tyler Robinson, just assassinated Charlie Kirk. They during
Right.
Black Life Matter protests. They went out onto the
Well,
streets. Uh,
the
uh,
thing is, the FBI covered everything over. The FBI stripped Epstein's island and took the evidence because the FBI is the one that's causing these assassinations to happen. It's the FBI that took the shot at the president, really, through other people. It's the FBI that covered it up. It's the FBI that covered up Epstein Island materials and combed it so they wouldn't be implicated. It's the FBI that tried to put me away each time. It's the FBI that has false records on me. It's the FBI that went to destabilize Ukraine. It's the FBI that went after President Trump's house, even ruffled through his wife's closet. It's the FBI that did all these things. It's the FBI is bad and has a gay congressman in the Ways and Means Committee to oversight them to make sure that nothing ever happens to them. The FBI is the most evil entity on the face of our planet. And everybody's too afraid to talk about it, pretty
and
much.
now they're lying about the Charlie Kirk assassination.
Yes, the
That's
FBI is covering
obvious.
that up too.
That's
The FBI
obvious.
covered up the thing that happened to the Cuban sound, the idiosyncratic thing at the
Embassy.
Cuban embassies. That was the FBI. Oh my God. So if you just disband
And why
the
is
FBI,
the
we'll have a better world.
FBI getting involved in foreign matters to begin with?
They're not supposed to. Not supposed to. But the FBI is a rogue agency. It needs to be disbanded. And Fitzpatrick needs to be brought up on charges of criminal charges. Now, Trump knows this. Roseanne, let Trump know. Trump knows our whole story and calls it the great story. He needs to stop compromising. He needs to stop compromising. Get rid of Brian Fitzpatrick. Get rid of him. There's so many crimes you can pin on him. A monster. Absolute monster. And if you're rewarding individuals and family members because you're connected to what the Hollywood's aspirations are, yeah, we can solve our country's problems, make it great again, just by removing one individual from office and prosecuting him. Because you know what? A whole nest of their garbage will be revealed. Other people involved behind them, including that chief of police from Warrington and other people involved in the spectrum. So it's time to change it. It's time.
But everyone
And
has
maybe my sister
dirt
will
on
get the mail,
everyone
yeah.
else.
And
Everyone
my
has
sister
dirt.
and my sister may just get the help she needs from psychiatric services. She needs it badly. She's gonna kill herself someday because she won't. Because she's such an angry individual, so angry, so vicious. It has to go somewhere, and she doesn't have me to put it on, or my mom to put it on, or Aiden to put it on. It'll eventually turn on herself. It'll eventually turn on. I know this, and I don't want to see my sister die.
Yeah.
How about that? When they're using me to say that I'm the reason I should be put away is the opposite.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm so glad you're doing this though, because word out is what Disney says wins the game. And compiling and consolidating all this stuff, it's a big story. And that's why Trump said it was, greatest story. Roseanne said it's the greatest story. And what you did is you were approached too. You were approached to not be involved. They keep approaching everybody I know that's close to me and says, don't associate Trump's bad. He's speaking bad about you. He's speaking bad about them. They had an organization doing that. The FBI is the one that did that Immortals Remnant group and got it to go. That was agency led. And it was supposed to, we got the emails and stuff from them and texts we have from them now where they were saying, find anything he said about this person. Okay, that's so he's been on. Okay, we'll contact them. They were going host by host at any show I've done and contacting him and trying to come up with anything they could do to research to say, look, he's against you.